Silver Surfer is one of Marvel's most iconic intergalactic characters, and a character that people have been very excited to see appear in the MCU for many, many years now. However, did you know that we nearly saw him in a movie way back in the early 90s? So, what if it happened? In the late 1980s, Bernd Eichinger and his production company Constantin Film had signed an agreement with Marvel Comics to produce an adaptation of the Fantastic Four. This also allowed them the rights to characters that are commonly associated with the team, such as Galactus and his iconic herald the Silver Surfer. In 1989, while development on a Fantastic Four movie was still underway, Marvel and Eichinger would be approached by a student from the School of Cinematic Arts at the University of Southern California. This student's name was Eric Fleming, who was a huge comic book fan, and in particular was a huge fan of the Silver Surfer. Fleming would learn that one of his college roommates, Rob Letterman, was actually an aspiring computer animator, and shared his love of the Silver Surfer. Thus, despite just being students at the time, they would approach Marvel to ask for a chance to make a short film about the Silver Surfer, and surprisingly, Marvel actually gave him a shot, and gifted the pair with a very small budget and filming locations. They intended for this short film to act as a proof of concept, with hopes for a full-length Silver Surfer movie to be greenlit afterwards. The short film was written by Jeff Easton, and the visual effects were supervised by Stephen Robiner, who would also later work on the Gina Davis spy thriller The Long Kiss Goodnight. The short film, The Silver Surfer, was completed in 1991, and shown at the First Look USC Film Festival in September of 1993. The film earned mixed reviews from critics, however Marvel were very impressed by the ambition behind the project, as well as by the immaculate visual effects, which used the same CGI animation used for the T-1000 in Terminator 2. Eichinger and Marvel were now very interested in making a full-length feature film about the Silver Surfer. Now, meanwhile, director Quentin Tarantino, fresh off the success of his first movie, Reservoir Dogs, heard about the plans for a Silver Surfer movie and would pen his own script. But sadly, however, as far as I can tell, the script has never been leaked, nor has Tarantino ever discussed it in interviews. However, I heard somewhere that the script would have been quite dark, and clocked in at over 500 pages. Sadly, Tarantino's ambition would not pay off, and the Silver Surfer script ended up being passed over. Ultimately, Eichinger & Co. decided to focus on what would become the unreleased 1994 Fantastic Four movie, and all plans for a Silver Surfer movie in the 90s would die right then and there, sadly. So do I think a Silver Surfer movie could have been made in the 90s? Honestly, yeah. Even in the early 90s, I think so, because think about it. I mean, Jurassic Park was right around the corner, and Terminator 2, which used, as I said, the same animation, had just come out. So I think that, honestly, a Silver Surfer movie, at least technically speaking, would have been more than possible to make in the early 90s, and I think that they probably should have, honestly, because I think the ambition was there. I think it had the right people behind it. You had two people who made the short film together that were very passionate about the project, clearly, especially the character. They were fanboys, and then you had Bernd Eichinger, who was doing the Fantastic Four, who himself was a huge fan of the Fantastic Four. He wanted to do Fantastic Four just because he was a fan of the comics. So, I mean, I think that sounds great. It has the right people behind it. Quentin Tarantino as director, that would have been interesting for sure. He might have taken it in a little too dark directions, but it would have been really cool to see what he would do with like an intergalactic character like Silver Surfer. If he would try to make it more grounded, or if he would be trying to, take us into space with it, it would be really cool to see what he would do with it, honestly. I wish that we knew more about his version, because literally, I know nothing about his version other than it would have been dark and it would have been over 500 pages. At least supposedly that's what the case is. But yeah, so I've seen the Silver Surfer short film, and I mean, the story is non-existent. reason. There's basically no story with it. It's just the Silver Surfer comes to Earth. He bumps into a kid that's being bullied. He transforms his Terminator action figure into a Silver Surfer one and then leaves. I mean, that's it, really. But it's really all about the technical aspect of it. And the Silver Surfer looks great in that, honestly. It's kind of surprising that, on such a low budget, they were able to make the Silver Surfer look that good. And yeah, I mean, it took them 4 years to get it made, but still, I mean, the ambition was clearly there. And I think if they had a bigger budget and more people helping them out, it would go by even quicker. So yeah, overall, I think a Silver Surfer movie in the 90s is more than plausible. As I said, I think it has all the right people behind it. It just needed the right director. And Quentin Tarantino could have been that director, but maybe not. Maybe it could have been somebody else. But, who knows? I think the Silver Surfer definitely has a lot of potential, and he's definitely a character I think could have brought superhero movies forward under the right circumstances, at least from a technical perspective. This movie would have been light years ahead of, like, the Tim Burton and Joel Schumacher Batmans, which didn't really use very much CGI. So this would have been probably way ahead of the game, honestly. So it would have been really cool to see what they would do if they did this movie. And I hope that eventually we do get a Silver Surfer movie, because I do think that it would be a mistake to just lump him in team-up movies. I think he has a lot of potential on his own, honestly. And I would definitely like to see him done justice. So anyway, that's my opinion on it. Let me know your opinion in the comments down below. And if you like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and share it with all of your friends on all your various social media platforms. And speaking of social media, don't forget to follow me on Instagram, Rinzler_Productions, and I will link the Silver Surfer short film in the description down below if you want to watch it. And I'll see all of you tomorrow in the next video.